Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside Unreal, a weekly show on Twitch where we learn, explore, and celebrate everything Unreal. And hi, everyone who's watching from Party Royale. Exciting to have you here. This is our annual year in review live stream where we look at the exciting happenings in the last year in the Unreal Engine and Epic Games communities. I'm your host, Victor Broden, and joining us today from the comforts of our Epic CEO and founder, Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics, Grayson Edge, Senior Cinematic Designer, and last but not least, Amanda Shade, Fellow Community Manager. Welcome all to the show today. We have plenty of exciting topics to talk about, but first I would like to let everyone know in chat that you can submit questions for our guests today at twitch.tv/Unreal Engine. And now let's dive into today's first topic. I think without question, the hottest topic in the games industry today, or this year, is the release of next-gen consoles, which brings many advancements in hardware and core technologies. We know that lots of studios are already shipping Unreal Engine 4. And I'd like to talk a little bit to you all about what is it about the next-gen consoles that has you the most excited about the future of the games industry?
I can go on that. Immersion, for me, is going to be something really cool. I think that the amount of immersion and realism in video games is really exciting, and the amount of technology that's behind that. I think that, when I was younger, there was a lot of things I wanted to see with video games, and I feel like we're now just getting into that area where it's just becomes very realistic and very immersive and very cool. So I think there's a lot of really exciting stuff for the player, but I also think for creatives, I think there's a lot of great stuff as well. It's inspiring to create.
I'll have to hold myself off from nerding out too much, but there's a lot of great advancements that happen in this hardware that is enabling a lot of new software techniques. The RDNA architecture for the GPUs for these new consoles is great. The amount of power is just as far as the pure like teraflops that these things can push out is a very big step from what we had before. The fact that we've got some real like full powered CPU cores opens up a lot of possibilities from the gameplay code perspective. It'll be a lot less trouble for us to ship games that would have been fine on a PC but would have struggled on a console. Now that we've got real CPU cores that would be similar to what you have on the PC, making something that can work across both is going to be a lot less difficult. And then of course the other major change is the SSD hard drives and the IO infrastructure supporting them. Like being able to stream with the extremely low latency and high bandwidth off of those drives enables, the obvious things of less load times, which really helps gameplay. Just as a gamer, being able to die and then reload immediately.
That's pretty cool.
Not having to wallow in your
so much better. But it also enables things that aren't just that sort of like typical like load screen, how long is my load screen, but it enables us to be able to move things in and out of RAM very quickly and a lot. So like what used to be such a critical component, which is how much RAM did the machine have, is still important. How much working RAM you have, it still matters, but it matters a lot less if you can cycle things in and out of RAM from the drive. It just enables a lot bigger worlds, richer, more vibrant worlds, because there's a lot more data that can be there, and we can move it in and out really fast.
Yeah, it's the immersion stuff that really gets me excited. The technologies you're talking about, that's the stuff that's
enables
that.
All that enables the immersion. Like that's the sort of foundational atomic blocks that enable that sort of immersive thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And here at Epic, what did we do to get ready for all of this in terms of preparing Unreal Engine for next gen?
Well, we've been preparing for a while. There is evolutionary jumps that happen. Like we've been working on a virtual texturing system in the past that can support like really large resolution textures, and we can get that having the low latency, high bandwidth SSD drives is something that supports that. But then we also for UE5 decided to invest in a number of technologies that are really only possible with the next generation hardware. The two of which that were like key things that we showed off and in our last tech demo was Nanite virtual geometry, like micro polygon level rendering tech, and Lumen, our dynamic GI system that gives like really beautiful lighting that's completely dynamic with no bake times. Those two technologies together are really kind of this like perfect recipe for enabling these new experiences and visuals that are like far beyond what we could have even like imagined possible with the previous set of techniques.
If you are unaware about what Brian is talking about right now, a little bit later, we're going to show you a video that showcases some of these technologies. Super excited.
Sorry, I jumped the gun a bit.
That's okay.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're so excited.
Yeah, like these efforts were pretty long tail efforts. Like it's been investment that we've been doing over multiple years of looking forward and where we thought the technology was going to be. We had access and collaborated with both Sony and Microsoft on what this next generation hardware would be. But some of it is also a bit of just, guessing where things are going, what sort of possibilities that we had to exploit, and try to, get our foothold in there early.
Yeah, there's been some amazing wizardry in this generation on the code side, but content is also a really important consideration. Unreal Engine 5 can render 100 million polygon geometry, but that doesn't mean an artist can just sit down and create one over the course of an afternoon or a week, right? So Epic's done a huge amount of investment in next generation content pipelines and building content libraries, like with the Quixel Megascans library, bringing Quixel into the Epic family and making all of the content available to Unreal Engine developers, so you can, like we did with the Nanite demo, just bring in all of that content that's been scanned from the real world, and then adjust it and tweak it to meet your needs and build entire environments without having to build every piece by yourself.
That stuff's really, really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible data set. The quality of those assets is really high. I remember some years ago when I was first talking with artists about photogrammetry, where there was initially a fear of, oh, you're going to make our jobs obsolete. And in fact, it's quite the opposite. It's like, really, we're just getting rid of some of the boring tasks. Like how much creative effort is it going to go into making just like a boulder? Really, your creative output is really about what you use that thing for and to make something interesting out of it, not the amount of hours that go into just like replicating some real world object.
That's right. It's really quite astonishing. And for anybody on the stream who hasn't seen it, Google Quixel, Quixel, and just check out the massive library of scans of assets all around the world at movie quality resolution that's now possible to render in real time.
Yeah, and they keep adding more and more all the time. It's really, really incredible seeing all the work they're doing.
Using real-world scans, in fact, so they're actual real-world items. We're going to go back a little bit to talk about Unreal Engine 5 in just a bit. Before that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened back in August when Epic gave Fortnite players on iOS and Google Play a choice between Apple and Google Payment and Epic Direct Payment. And Google retaliated by blocking Fortnite updates and kicking the game off their stores. Now, Epic has taken up the fight for fair terms on digital stores in an effort to give developers a more level playing field and to open up more choices and freedoms to everyone. Tim, would you want to give us a little bit of information on what all this is about?
Sure. This is one of the most important things that we've done in our history. All developers kind of live under the thumb of Apple and Google, who exert total control over the supply of apps for iOS and Android. And they do this in slightly different ways. Apple by explicitly banning all competitors, and Google by just making it harder to install competing software. But this is a fight for the entire game industry and the future of the industry. If these monopolies can not only control the supply of games, but also control curation and say that entire categories of new applications like xCloud and NVIDIA's GeForce Now and Google Stadia cannot exist on iOS devices, then it's going to be a really bleak future for everybody who is a creator of any sort. So we decided to fight this. And you might have heard of the code name that was leaked at some point. It was called Project Liberty internally. And our aim is to really change the status quo and open up the app stores on mobile platforms so that all developers have an equal chance. And every component of the ecosystem, from payments to stores to engines and friend services and everything else, can compete freely, resulting in better deals for developers and better deals for consumers as well. This effort launched back in August, but we've already seen some major changes in the mobile ecosystem. Apple lowered their revenue share from 30% to 15% for developers who make less than $1 million a year. That's really interesting because it means that that's about 98% of developers benefit from that, but only about 5% of purchases are made from the games built by these small developers. And so it really doesn't help consumers at all, and it doesn't do anything to restore competitive pricing that would exist if these 30% taxes weren't being collected. And so this is an ongoing fight. The cases will go on. The Apple case is set for trial next year in May. The Google trial 2022, and there's going to be a lot happening in the meantime on the regulatory front. It's really a great opportunity for the community to come together and fight for our futures as creators, so that every creator in the future, including those who haven't even been born yet, have the chance that I had when I was a kid, which was to build software on my own, to release it directly to gamers, and to not have to ask a middleman for permission to do those things.
Exciting times, special times for sure. A lot of unusual things have happened this year. That's definitely the case for all of us. Why don't we go ahead and play the free Fortnite video for all of you who haven't seen that.
Today, we celebrate the anniversary of the Platform Unification Directives. For years, they have given us their songs, their labor, their dreams. In exchange, we have taken our tribute, our profits, our control. This power is ours and ours alone. We shall prevail.
Interesting references there.
Nice hat, Tim.
The hats are key to the battle.
Excellent. So that's, if you hadn't seen it before, it's a great testament to the initiative at large. So moving on to probably Unreal Engine's biggest announcement of the year. Earlier, we announced Unreal Engine 5. It was our first showcase, or the first showcase, of pixels running live on the PlayStation 5 with Lumen in the land of nanites. So if you haven't seen that video, we'd like to go ahead and show it for you now.
Might be.
So the demo showcases both the new virtualized polygon geometry technology, Nanite, and Lumen, a fully dynamic global illumination solution. And these are what Brian was sort of mentioning earlier. Would you kind of dive into that a little more and actually the impact that'll have on developers in this next generation?
Yeah, sure. It's with Nanite, you get this ability to bring in like film quality, like super high poly assets without the need to do major optimization steps beforehand. This like trims down the amount of time it takes to take a really high quality asset, bring it in, and be able to see it live, and not just see it for the first time, but to be able to actually ship that asset at its full quality, and build a whole world with thousands, hundreds of thousands of those objects in the world, or millions, I guess we actually support. Sometimes these numbers actually get away from me. You can place millions of these objects now. It's pretty incredible. And then Lumen for the real-time global illumination. You can give like actually dynamic objects around and not have to go through these like long bakes steps to be able to see the process. Like for a lighting artist to be able to just put their lights where they want them to be, interactively place it, and just see it live, just real time. What you see is what you get sort of workflows are really powerful from the content creator and the things that it enables for the game, for the worlds to be more dynamic. So those were two really interesting technologies, really cool stuff that we showed off in the demo, but there's a lot more that is coming along with UE5. A lot of content workflows, like animation technology, sound system. There's a ton of cooking pipeline, editor workflows. That like there's the list goes on and on of things that are going to be in UE5. And I think what's also cool here is like this is just where we're starting. Like this is the beginning. Like this is just the beginning of the generation, and like this is already what stuff looks like. It's really exciting to see where we go. It's like all the different ideas that we have yet to actually try, different pieces of technology that we haven't really been able to push to their fullest extent. Aspects of the hardware that we're just now able to exploit. So it's really exciting to see like this is where we're starting.
Yeah, I remember watching this demo for the first time and getting so many goosebumps, just like in awe at the story and all of the pieces behind it, and knowing what and like you said, thinking about the potential of the games coming in the future. So it's like, can't imagine what we're going to see even beyond, and from the folks in our community digging into this. And it's just a really exciting time to be in development, right?
Yeah, it really is, with cinematic type of stuff especially as well. It just, there's so much great quality stuff that you can get with this technology.
Big aspect of what we're driving for UE5 is this sort of like just works as a pillar of the engine. Like we want to make it so that a content creator can make their assets, make their content in the way that is easy for them to make, in a way that like hits the detail level that they want. They can bring it into the engine, or create it in the engine in that way initially, and not have to work through so many like technical details and what it takes to hit your real-time frame rates, or what it takes to actually like realize the thing that they're trying to shoot for. Try to like minimize that gap between what they imagined or what was easy for them to create and what they could ship, and like shrink that gap down to as small, or if nothing at all, as possible, so they could just create the thing and ship the thing.
And for those that are super excited to get their hands on these tools, we'll be going into preview in early 2021. This will be the time to try them out. We'll be trying to gather as much feedback as possible so that we can really make a solid launch, which we're aiming for at the end of 2021. Also, in line with our UE5 announcements, we did revise our royalty system, to requesting only 5% once $1 million is earned. Tim, would you give some feedback on like what inspired us to make this change? It's a pretty significant jump from our old system.
Yeah, it was a funny process. Somebody suggested Epic exempt the first $100,000 of revenue from royalties on Twitter, just because of the difficulty of being an indie developer and getting a game off the ground. team talked about it. And Dan Vogel, who's extraordinary engineer. We had a long discussion about what is the threshold at which like a developer is actually still struggling. If you're one person, $1 million is a lot, but if you're a team of 10 or 15 people working for a year or two, then it might not be a lot at all. And so we settled on that number eventually. And guess what? It's being validated. Apple now changed their terms to give these $1 million indie developers a special deal as well. And so I think this is a great deal and kind of a great direction in the industry to acknowledge that challenges when companies launching their businesses is really important.
Coming from once being on a small indie team and at the time of launch realizing that, oh wait, now we actually have to send money to people because we are actually about to do this, right? And then knowing that it's okay to succeed, you don't have to worry about this, right? And so if you're using, say, Unreal Engine and Blender, you can just develop your game, ship it, and if you succeed, and now, and succeed pretty well, I would say, within that $1 million bar, and at that point you can actually start, maybe potentially bring in someone to help you with all of that, instead of just being, a couple of scrappy developers who just want to make awesome games. It's super exciting. Grayson, you touched on it a little bit briefly, but the cinematics. I think it's impossible to talk about, 2020 without mentioning virtual production. And to kick off this conversation, I want to mention a small little nice anecdote that Bob talked about. The first use of virtual production was actually back in 2001 when Spielberg used Unreal Tournament to block out shots for the movie AI. I thought this was an amazing anecdote. I have no idea about this. And it's cool to see how far back people have actually been thinking about the possibility that we are now today seeing become reality.
And there's some really exciting things going on, and I feel like obviously virtual production. There's a lot of different definitions of virtual production, and I've always kind of thought of it's a cool space to work in because working on cinematics and different events and things, I feel like very quickly being able to determine what you're going to make, have a lot of people look at it and agree upon that thing is really important. And so I feel like this is a very base level of virtual production. I think it's very, very powerful to be able to present people your ideas clearly in a form that that they can understand. And I think it's I think it's really it's a really powerful tool. The engine, you basically using the engine for those type of things is really awesome. And so there's a lot of different applications for virtual production with the engine, and we can talk about that a little bit more as we go on here. But yeah, suffice to say that I think there's a lot of exciting things happening in the space right now, and I think being creative, I think it kind of like Brian was mentioning earlier too, it really helps you realize your vision of things and see these things and then start to build on them very quickly. Kind of jumpstarts you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, both the production side and the creative, right? The fact that you can just immediately see what's going on instead of having to wait for a couple of days of render or. Yeah, and I mean, also it gives you besides just the creative elements, it gives you a good idea of scope, tone, some of the things that you'll need to be, if you're trying to make a movie, some of the things you may have to, consider when you're doing that, or if you're making a music video or something else like that. It just gives you a lot of information very early on, and it's for me, it's very easy to jump in the engine and develop stuff like that and just start to get the idea of what we're doing with something.
Yeah, so, getting past that just blank sheet of paper sort of problem, getting things up.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the beginning of the pipeline when you're visualizing the movie. Then you go and produce it. A lot of these productions are now using Unreal Engine for real-time rendering of backgrounds. So as the director is looking through the camera, they're filming an actor in front of, instead of a green screen, an LED panel displaying exactly what's happening in the movie set around them. And actors can look around the set and see exactly the environment they're in. And so it gets kind of back to the magical movie production era before computer graphics were introduced at all, in which a a large part of the magic of the movie comes from improvisation of the set, on the director looking through the camera and finding a shot that wasn't necessarily planned out, and making the magic that way. And then at the very end of that process, you have digital assets for this entire production, which meshes and textures and characters in games, or in any sort of experience that you might want that's interactive or digital. And Fortnite has had some crossover events where you have Star Wars characters pop in, or Marvel characters, or John Wick. But the next phase of this is a seamless pipeline from movies and television shows and other creative works into games without delay and with mass community participation.
Yeah, it's really cool. And to talk a little bit about the immersion too, and you mentioned this, Tim, is that, as an actor or even as a director, you can jump in so you make this in virtual environment. In some cases, you make your set, or you make, the thing that you're trying to shoot, and you can put on a, VR headset, or you can use an augmented reality device, or an AR headset, and you can look around, and so you can give direction in a virtual space, either, on the stage that you're capturing the data in, or you can do it remotely as well. And so that's a really powerful tool. And then also from an acting perspective, it's really cool to actually be in the environment that you're going to be acting in. And in some cases, you can see your own avatar, or if you have props, you can see those as well. And from having worked with a few actors, it's really exciting to see them get into the virtual space and start to understand who their character is. Either they can see it in a headset, or they can see it on a screen of some type. But it really starts to help you get into character. And so, interestingly enough, that process makes a lot of acting emergent, and we get a lot of really creative, great stuff out of being those characters, being in that world that we didn't ever have planned, which is just kind of a lot of fun to watch happen.
Yeah, and the same is true for those LED wall stages. I got the privilege to see a couple of them firsthand, and it's pretty incredible just seeing standing in those volumes, in those backdrops. There could be points there where it even confuses your own brain, like, where are you? But there was, I just had, when I was standing at one of them, I just needed to take this selfie shot. Like, you have to see this, and that selfie shot just looks like I'm in another place.
You get the light coming off the screen, so it automatically grounds you in the environment, which is cool.
Do you get the sense of presence that you can when you're using a virtual reality device?
Not quite, because they don't completely surround you. They go on in everything that they don't cover the side that the camera has, so they're not a complete volume going in all directions. And you don't get, there's no sort of stereoscopy, so it doesn't look 3D to you. So it doesn't have quite the same presence, but the key thing is that it's lighting everything properly. That's the thing that the camera really wants to pick up. But it's certainly better than standing in front of a green screen, because that doesn't look like anything at all.
The
so
lighting.
You get the full presence of getting, everything moves and parallaxes, and you can see everything in 3D. But it does feel like you're there. And the nice thing is that if you would be acting against another actor, they're going to actually be there, as opposed to, seeing them through VR headset. And you can hold props, and all that stuff is going to be physical to you. I'm not an actor, but standing on those stages, that's what it felt like to me.
And usually there's also an element too in the foreground with the actor that can be physical traditional set, and then you have the digital background. So it is pretty cool to see all that come together.
Well, it just makes the whole process more collaborative too, right? Everybody's talking about the experience and the shots and the takes in the moment versus having to pass it through different parts of the pipeline. And
yeah, that gets really interesting too with multi-user and being able to have, in some cases, you're all interacting in the same space. And you can do that there, or you can do it remotely. And that's really powerful as well, that, instead of saying, hey, can we move this light a little bit over there, and somebody having to do that, you can literally reach out and grab the light in a virtual space, and then you can move it, and it will, light in the virtual space and or in the real world. And that's a very cool, that lets people collaborate very easily.
This LED screen technology that we're talking about, it was popularized this year by the series The Mandalorian. This was actually the large commercial use of in-camera VFX in the LED volumes, and it has inspired about 100 stages that will be available in the next year. And so this is sort of a new revolution, new movement, and hopefully, I think all of the sort of indie creators out there are hoping that the technology will, eventually get a little bit cheaper to the point where you can rent a stage, to do your shots for a couple of days and just make it more accessible. I'm very excited to see that.
I've seen tons of people even starting to use like their monitors, right? They have a little monitor up and they've set up little action figures and they're starting to use this scene just even on a very small scale. So it transverses a lot of that.
Yeah, you can use, off-the-shelf available tracking technology like SteamVR to sort of simulate that camera tracking. And so you can actually do a lot of that stuff already today with the your available hardware that you might even have for some of your projects.
And it's really cool to see people build this stuff up from a few ideas, and you start adding new ideas to it, and you get some. It's amazing where you can get to with some of that, which is cool. Yeah.
And we are really excited to see what the community comes up with in the future. Now, Grayson, you did mention we had talked a little bit about sort of the different use cases for virtual production, and I wanted to go ahead and show something that Weta Digital put together using Unreal Engine. Seth, if you don't mind playing that video for us, please. Now, for those of you who are unaware, that entire short was created entirely inside Unreal Engine, which is quite the astonishment, using some of our new fur and hair technology alongside Control Rig, which was used to animate the characters. Yeah, big ups to Weta Digital and everyone at Epic who helped make this a reality. On that note of sort of, creating virtual production content or linear media as well as interactive, we also this year released something called the LiveLink Face app, which allows you to use an iPhone to capture facial animation technology, and you can either capture that for playback later or use it directly in real time in the engine. We actually did see a really fun and interesting quick thing that happened. Oh, I should mention the complete demo project, Meerkat, is available on the marketplace for you to download for use with Unreal Engine 426. Go check it out. It's super cool. That's one of our evangelists. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
And I was just saying, we've seen so many cool community creations. Like some people have started, you've seen the Meerkat or the video Meerkat from the Meerkat's perspective. So he's like running and hiding from the eagle, or what you were about to mention, one of our evangelists actually made the Meerkat into a little talk show. So you see him sitting there behind the desk. He's got a little screen, so he's hosting a show. And yeah, that was actually using LiveLink Face app, which is, it's really cool to see the various ways these technologies can kind of come together to make even more unique setups.
Yeah, the immediacy of that is really cool too. In terms of, in the past, long time ago, we used to have to, we have to wait to get the spatial stuff on a character. But now, just seeing it immediately, you get a great read. You can get an idea of emotions, and you can change direction if you need to. But it's a very powerful tool for seeing things right up front, which is cool.
If you're excited about this technology, we're going to go ahead and link some docs in chat for y'all. You can go ahead and it's all available right now. Make sure to pop that out. Let's see. There's also been the use case of virtual production inside Fortnite. Does any of you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. I think that we use virtual production almost daily now for parts of Fortnite, whether we're developing events or we're developing cinematics. And we've got a process down that we can jump out to our mocap stage, but do it remotely, virtually. So we all join kind of the same way we're joining through Zoom. And we can also connect through the engine, and we can see the virtual space together, and we can make changes to that space, and we can work collaboratively. And so we do this, like I said, we do that pretty often, and I find it to be really helpful in developing ideas quickly. And sometimes, traditionally you'll use mocap, or a lot of times you'll use mocap to create a final product. But a lot of times what we'll do is just explore ideas, and kind of like we were talking about earlier, where we can have an actor become an avatar, and you can see their their face moving. And so we may come into a Fortnite sketch or cinematic with a certain idea, and that can change very quickly based on we see something that we like a lot more and a lot better. And so overall, the virtual production tools that we have at the studio allow us to work much more quickly and to be more creative than we've ever been able to do in the past. And I think that we're always developing that technology more for our own teams internally, but also working with outside partners to basically to learn a lot of different parts of things that they're doing, and we want to help them and they want to help us, because it's a bit of a collaborative effort on that stuff. So
yeah. Unreal Build virtual production, we actually got to see a few ways different people were using virtual production in their own projects, whether it's from the award-winning director Robert Zemeckis or using these pipelines. So if you haven't seen it, we definitely recommend go watch those videos. We have them all on YouTube, and it's really fascinating to see how everybody's using it in their own unique way and how it's elevating their pipelines.
And if you'd like to get started yourself, make sure that you go ahead and check out the virtual production primer that we released. All right, I think it's time to move on. Goes without saying that another big initiative that we actually launched, the initial one was launched over 2 years ago, but last year at GDC 2019, we announced a new version of Epic Mega Grants, which is a $100 million fund that exists for different creators around the world. It launched in 2019, and we have at time of today, we have almost handed out nearly 1,000 talented teams have received grants from the Epic Mega Grant Fund. Tim, would you like to comment a little bit about it?
Oh, sure. This is just a way of helping developers who have made some progress but need a boost. With funding. Often funding makes the difference between being able to build and expand a team, or get marketing assistance for a game launch, or you feel some critical need, or just have going on without really having a chance to succeed. And so this has been the biggest year for Epic Mega Grants by far, with a much larger dollar amount and a number of grants issued this year than in any past year. I think this was an interesting time because Unreal Engine usage has exploded, both in game development and all of these other industries. And usage has expanded in academia. So we've been funding a lot of academic projects, of all different sorts. Some at the PhD level and some at the introductory level. This will continue, and it's a great way for Epic to reinvest back into the community. And there's a really big team within Epic supporting it. But there's a dedicated team to Mega Grants as a program, but then a lot of people at Epic who are specialized in any one area will be reviewing individual grant applications, given their expertise, and considering each one. And it's a very rigorous process. We go through a huge number of applications and really make sure that everybody receives a fair decision.
Yeah, make sure you apply. We want to see as many of you as possible sending in and seeing what you're working on. There's nothing that is, don't feel like it should be a pressure. We want to see your applications. We want to see what you're working on, and we will be happy to review all of them.
So we've actually supported a lot of open source projects, even Blender or other game engines like Godot. I was actually curious why you feel it's so important for Epic to invest in these open source technologies, even beyond sort of our own space and our own tools.
Well, the whole industry relies not just on like one piece of software, but an entire ecosystem of components. In a lot of areas, some of the leading work in the industry is open source. With some of the like subdivision surface work that's been done recently. The leading library is open source entirely. There's now a world-class polygon modeling tool called Blender, which is increasingly used by, it's been used by indies for a long time, but pros are increasingly adopting it too, because it's trying to make faster progress than 3D Studio Max and Maya. So everywhere we can help, that's just something we're eager to assist with. And even Godot, the open source 3D engine that I guess you could say it's a competitor to Unreal, but it's a permissively licensed engine with an incredible set of capabilities. We're really happy to grant them a major mega grant, which will provide a significant amount of funding. And I think there will be many, many more in all aspects of the open source community that is in any way related to the 3D content or digital ecosystems area.
Which will ultimately lead to better games, better movies, better projects, better everything, right? And so it's very exciting to see. Moving on, I did want to talk a little bit about the Unreal Marketplace. For those of you who are unaware, it exists in the Epic Games Launcher. It is a place for creators to sell their content, as well as for Epic to provide a lot of content for free. This year, as well as previous year, we released numerous amount of free assets every month, as well as perpetual free assets. And now to let you know, you're available to use these for free inside your games, inside your movies, inside your shorts, novels, whatever it is you want to use Unreal Engine to create. Amanda, do you want to mention some of the things we did this year?
Yeah, sure. So in addition to the 5 monthly packs and the permanent free content, we have over 80 permanently free items as part of our permanently free content initiative. We've also released an automotive, bridge, and beach scene. We also have some really cool community created packs. There was a city park and a factory environment collection that are absolutely beautiful and have loads and loads of pieces and parts that you should feel free to pick apart, add them to your game, modify them. And we kicked off the Marketplace collection. So joining the ranks of Paragon and Infinity Blade, we've added What Remains of Edith Finch as assets into our marketplace. So you can actually pull things from the game, add them to your own projects, and we're planning on adding even more new exciting content in 2021. But we just always want to remind people that these assets are here for you to use, and you shouldn't be afraid of, somebody has that book in their game, so you can't use it. Like, you can modify them, you can prototype with them, you can tear them apart and learn from them, and update them so they fit in the style of your game or project or scenes. And nobody's going to notice that it's like, oh, I've seen that stack of books before, I've seen that rock. Like, they're not thinking about your game and like picking it apart, or if they are, like, who cares? The point is that you've been able to more easily and rapidly build the experience you're going for. And so shouldn't be afraid to use them. And we're really excited to be able to continue offering these kinds of assets to the community at large.
And libraries of content are really foundational to be able to get more rapid development of games. Like the major creative aspects of creating a game experience is not about how one particular little rock or book or something looks. It's about the overall experience. That's what a designer is really going to be looking for.
Grayson, you had a good anecdote of what you used the marketplace for.
Yeah, I love it. So I went onto the marketplace and we're designing a garden in our backyard. And I was like, man, we could use basically virtual production, same kind of techniques and stuff to design our garden. And so that's what I did. I went and wrangled up a bunch of assets, probably spent too much doing that, but it was a lot of fun. And we built out a garden in a virtual space, and it became the plan for our garden. And one of the cool things is I was able to jump in there in a virtual reality headset and look at this garden, and we were able to measure it out to the foot for everything, or to the meter, to everything. So it was kind of cool using marketplace assets.
Never know how they're going to come in handy.
You never know. It's a kind of interesting project.
Love it.
Moving on. Of course, they're all available on the marketplace right now. You can go to unrealengine.com to download the launcher and access all of them. And if you are here and you're interested and excited about getting started with game development using Unreal Engine, it is available free right now. There is over 160 hours of content on Unreal Online Learning that you can go and access to get everywhere from the basics into more advanced topic in terms of lighting and editing, placement, code, etc. It's all there at Unreal Online Learning. Gotta check it out. This year, we also did our first bespoke virtual event, Unreal Fest Online 2020. What came out of that was over 40 videos that are now available on YouTube with topics ranging everything from virtual production to games development, architecture, and enterprise. We had over 50,000 people registered for the event. It was a great time. Do you all have any cool anecdotes to share from the event itself?
I mean, it was just exciting to see cross-industry folks coming in and getting in the same space and learning different lessons. All the sessions are really great. And it was a great way to kind of show off some of our other technology too. So there was an introduction to Twinmotion. So if you're not familiar with it, it's one of the other products here as part of the Epic ecosystem, and super easy to use UE-based application that helps with visualization, AEC, great for quickly iterating and building scenes. So it's Unreal Fest became sort of this, while it's Unreal Fest, it was a way for folks to come cross industry, cross tool sets, cross all these things and enjoy all the parts of our ecosystem. So
a cool video in there for the virtual production, working remotely, which is really, really great. There's some good information too. And it covers a really wide range of things that you can do with virtual production. So maybe worth checking out.
Yeah, this whole COVID lockdown situation has really shifted those industries to need to work in a more virtual manner. So it was interesting to hear from different voices out there in the industry of like how they're dealing with this 2020 situation that has stuck many of us either away from the office, away from their workplace, in homes, and how can people continue to work? Well, so much of it is happening virtually now. And tools like this are enabling that to happen in a way that like either wasn't really the traditional way of working or is now just like a core requirement.
Among that, I do want to mention and plug the fact that we have also been doing all of our live streams from home throughout the pandemic. And so if you are interested in seeing some of how some of our partners and teams at Epic have been working and what we've been doing, go ahead and check out the playlist for Inside Unreal. It's been exciting. I remember thinking about Aaron Sims Creative when we had them on, and also relating back to sort of how some film studios are considering producing video games. In fact, when I asked that question for Aaron Sims, he said that yes, they are in fact exploring the possibility of also creating video game based off of the movies that they are creating using Unreal Engine, which I find super exciting to see what comes out of that. Teams that are specialized in sort of movie VFX now actually entering the industry of creating video games. Amanda, you touched on this sort of as well, sort of how industries are now just crossing paths, and these channels are opening up, and it allows us to just share knowledge and experience and see, how the industry at large can grow, or all of our industries at large can grow out of that. Super exciting. I do want to go ahead and play at Unreal Fest Online 2020. We debuted the Unreal for All Creators video, which is a really cool masterpiece. We also had them on the live stream talking about how it was produced. Can we please play the video?
Creativity lies in all of us. It's what makes us human. It starts with an idea. The desire to create, to solve, to play, to share, to interact. Together we can build new worlds. Freedom to create for all.
beautiful little short promotional piece. If you are
Stunning.
curious how it was developed, you can go ahead and check out the live stream we did with some of the creators. We also did an asset release for the project that was used in production for the Unreal for All Creators video.
Yeah, so if you go to unrealengine.com/creators, you'll be able to find those assets.
Awesome plug. Now, we also want to talk a little bit about the Epic Online Services. Tim, this is a big initiative for us. Would you like to mention what this is about?
Yeah, sure. Our way of doing things at Epic is to build games and build new technology to support the games, and then open up everything to other developers to use themselves. And one of the real success stories of Fortnite is the friend system. There have been more than 350 million players coming into Fortnite, and they've made more than 2 billion friends in the system. And so we've opened up all of these systems to other developers to use, so that their customers can come in and you can have a cross-platform game where you have friends across all platforms. And when new players come in, if they've ever played Fortnite and have friends there, then they automatically have all of those friend relationships. Kind of providing the kind of functionality that's existed on Steam, Xbox Live, and PlayStation Network, but in a completely cross-platform way that plays really nicely with the consoles and their existing systems. And so, that and a whole lot of other services are now available for free to all developers to use in their game. And we're making this free because we find that the benefit of having additional games adopt this and bring in their players and their friends, growing the social graph benefits all gamers and all game developers, including ourselves, so much that we felt we would grow it faster and everybody would benefit more if we didn't charge money for it. And so, the Epic Online Services Initiative is available to all developers to adopt for free, and lots of really interesting new features will be coming online over time. Anything that you've seen in Fortnite is likely coming to EOS, over the next year.
The developer portal is available now. You can go ahead and download the SDK and implement it in your game. I have also seen a community-made plugin that exposes the entire API into Blueprints, if that's your preferred way of working with Unreal Engine. It exists on the UE Marketplace. We wouldn't be able to do this year in review live stream without making sure that we do a little bit of a shout out to all of the other teams that are working with Epic. Make sure that we go ahead and mention Cubic Motion, 3Lateral, as well as Quixel. The UE5 demo would not have been possible without Quixel. So make sure we all in chat, please give a big shout out to the other teams that are working with us. Yay. A little clap there. And now I think it's time to talk a little bit about the future.
Oh, sure. We've talked about a lot of the future already with Unreal Engine 5, but Epic has been building 2 sets of developer tools for a long time. One has been the Unreal Engine, which AAA game developers use to produce world-class games that are completely standalone. And the other tool set is Fortnite Creative, where tens or gone in and built their own environments or played environments built by other creators themselves. And that's starting to turn Fortnite into something bigger than the game. An entire world that is much bigger than Epic's vision or capacity to build. A world that's everybody's, all of ours together. And we envision a future where there are a huge variety of experiences in Fortnite, all created by the community. And one of the things that's been in the works for a while now is we've been looking at how to help these worlds come together. And so I want to introduce 2 longtime Epic folks, Carlos Coelho and Zach Parrish, to come on the stream and show us and talk about some of the efforts that the Fortnite team has been working on. You guys.
Hey everyone. So thanks, Tim. Let me just start by saying a couple quick things. Like, here on the Fortnite team, we use the Unreal Engine and the Unreal Editor to build a game. Today, we're going to give you an early preview of our efforts to share those tools with all Fortnite creators. Think of this as an extension of the existing creative toolset and not a replacement. And then another thing to think about is that this is an early look and it's very early, so please bear with any rough edges. But we're super excited to show you. And I'm also super excited to be joined by Zach Parrish, who's going to be showing us some of the awesome things you can build with the Unreal Editor. So let's actually start by showing a video that we recorded earlier of us building a little shrine, like mini shrine, to an old fan favorite, Kevin. So yeah, let's cue the video and take a look.
Yes.
Zach, if you want to.
Yeah, so here we're actually doing something pretty interesting. We're importing a custom mesh. This is a high-res Hollywood-grade model of the complex geometry of Kevin.
Yeah, it might be the most high poly mesh in the game.
Yeah, we had to be really careful with this one. And then I'll just drag this right into the view, and there's Kevin in his untextured glory. But then we can go right over to his properties and set a material on him. So here's the Kevin material. But the great thing is that we're going to give you the ability to jump into these materials. And here you can see the node graph, which makes Kevin possible. So here's all of the bits and pieces that define his surface. And we can even go in and make changes to them. So here's his base diffuse property. We can set this to a garish shade of pink if we want. And then if we save this out, then Kevin, as you can see, is now pink. But we're going to set it back to something a little more Kevin-like.
Oh.
So now this is a quick section where we're just going to show some of the new object placement tools. So a quick shout out actually to Ashley Ludlam, one of the gameplay designers on Fortnite, who's actually doing the driving in this bit. So he's going to use the Unreal Editor toolset to build a small shrine to Kevin to kind of show this off. You see he's bringing in some static meshes, quickly adjusting their properties. And these are the same tools that our developers actually use to put the game itself together. So our goal is to give you the same kind of power, the same tool sets that we use to bring Fortnite to you season after season.
Yeah, absolutely. Like really as one-to-one as possible from normal Unreal Engine workflows. It'll take us a while to get there, but we're super excited for this.
Okay, we have the 3 rocks. Of course, that's important. So you need something that looks very shriny. And so now here's Kevin in his VFX splendor. And we're going to bring in a particle system. This is actually from a previous season of Fortnite. It's a little star dome. We'll put that on Kevin's head. Now, the neat thing is that we can actually jump into Niagara, which is the full particle system inside of Unreal. And you can see I can rotate around the particle system, take a look at the node graph definition, which defines this effect. And I could even go in and make this my own customized version of this effect straight from the Fortnite content. There you have it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So now why don't we go and show kind of another kind of big part of the tool set, which is essentially, I think there's another video for us actually. So, you see some new buttons in the toolbar. One of them is upload project. And that will actually take the content that we just, created and imported and upload it to the cloud, have it be processed in the cloud, and delivered to an actual running game session. So here was us actually playing around in Party Royale. You could see consoles playing. We had some capture team members on console and PC, and it showed up in a normal Party Royale session, which is pretty cool. The other part of this that we're doing is actually leveraging the connection to a running game to allow you to make live edits quickly and easily. And we support things right now like translation, rotation, but we really want to expand that over time. And I think one of the most powerful things that we found, developing creative, is just how powerful quick iteration and faster iteration is. And, and some of the things you can do in creative, like being able to do that with a full broad tool set is frankly amazing.
Oh, not to nerd out, but
about that.
Just the ability to be able to make edits like that on the fly that people could actually see live in game that might be the most exciting aspect of this for me anyway.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, it's one of the things that maybe doesn't show off well on video, but I 100% agree. Like this is the thing that I geek out on all the time, for sure. So one cool thing, just FYI, is that we kind of wanted to prove out the whole end-to-end flow. So we did push out this content, or actually an earlier version of this content, to Party Royale right now. So those people in game, feel free to head over there to where you see us editing, and you should be able to see a version of it. Now, please bear in mind, this part of it is probably the most kind of proof of concept. So don't be surprised if there are bugs in game. But yeah, again, we really wanted to show everything end to end and thought that was really powerful. So we do know that this is kind of only one part of the tool set, right? This is content. And another thing that's really important is code. So we are working on tools for that as well. And we wanted to give you a quick early glimpse of that, of a new scripting language we're developing, which Epic engineer Tim Tilton is about to show us. So why don't we cue that video?
Hello. I was part of the team that helped launch Fortnite Creative. Since then, the community's done some amazing things, and we want to give them even more tools to help build fun and engaging experiences inside of Fortnite. Let me walk you through an early prototype of one of these new tools, a game script used to implement Boxfight. We start the script by waiting for players to join. As you can see, some commands take time to complete, and the game continues on as this script waits for an event. Once players have joined, we start our game by setting the player's spawn points and inventory. To change things up, we use the current round variable inside this method to set up a different inventory in some of the rounds. Next, we make players invulnerable and start the round countdown timer. Partway through the countdown, we enable building so people can get ready to play. And we enable multiple round end conditions. Either one player can remain, or 0, or the round will time out. Returning to our game script, once the end conditions are met, we display a round end message. Then we disable combat and the storm. And then we reset everything for the next round and run the same script again. We can also tweak a few small changes to the player inventory items in script between rounds, like adding impulse grenades or clingers. Very small changes can have a dramatic impact on gameplay. This is a very early prototype, and we still have a lot of work ahead of us. But we're looking forward to what our creators will be able to do with much more powerful tools. Look forward to more details as we continue development in 2021.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to bring this to community. In terms of time frame, we're not sure. Probably sometime in 2021. And just like we're seeing here, I think we'll want to iterate with the community and kind of get something out early as we can. But we'll see. We'll take things one step at a time.
And the goal here is really to bring in more of the Unreal Engine authorship tools that we use here at Epic. I mean, obviously, you can already place objects in your Fortnite creative scenes. A lot of those types of things like move, rotate, scale, those have been there. Yeah. But we want to give you access to your particle authoring tools or your material editor and things that we use to bring the game to life so that you can start making even more customized experiences yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like unlocking those tools in a way that you can leverage in creative. Like there's some really powerful things there that we want to explore.
Yeah, it's really awesome work. Congratulations, folks. And this is an early peek at something that's in development, but it's the first step into a larger world in which the world of Fortnite Creative and the world of the Unreal Engine and the full set of tools that AAA developers use to build major console games converge to give creators even more power in the future. And these are two worlds that will coexist side by side, with the Fortnite Creative mode existing on every platform and every control scheme, and some of these advanced tools running on PCs, for high-end developers, and it's going to be the interplay between creators using Fortnite Creative and developers using the tool set working together. That's going to create a lot of really interesting interactions.
All right. Are you all ready to answer a couple of questions from chat?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Extrasum5 asked, can you mod in any platform? And if so, do you need a third-party app?
So the 100% the goal is just like everything in Fortnite Creative inside of Fortnite, that everything you create works on every platform and you can publish and see it live on every platform, which is why it was important to even demo the Windows and console together, just to show that. The third-party tool is the Unreal Editor. So, it'll be, a flavor of the Unreal Editor for sure with custom things for our tool set, like you saw the upload button. But You will be able to use, external third-party tools like Maya and Max and Houdini, and in terms of creating content. So that's true. Yes.
Leads us over to the next question. Titch MW asked, will you be able to import custom assets like models into the game?
So toolset, yes, absolutely. I think we still have to figure out moderation and, getting, what that looks like for sure. So we're a little thoughtful there, but it's super powerful to be able to import your own assets and create content and create things that doesn't look like Fortnite and support that. So.
That's right. And remember, Fortnite is going to be moving to Unreal Engine 5 in 2021. And so a lot of these Unreal Engine 5 features you've seen demonstrated on the high end will become possible in this environment. And they'll create a really interesting a combination of Fortnite visual style, plus the option of having completely photorealistic content in creator worlds as well.
And all of those things that we were talking about to make it easier to bring things in without worrying as much about optimization, it all applies here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, that is one of the things that we're kind of working through. It's like taking some of those tool sets and workflows and figuring out the best manifestation of that for the tool set, without sacrificing the tools and the power, but, figuring out how to automatically optimize. Like those are all things that we're kind of taking into account as we iterate through everything that we're going to be doing over the next 6 months to a year.
Moving back to a couple of the questions we received earlier in the stream here in regards to UE5, Captain Gravyboat asked, which platforms will Nanite and Lumen support, and how will the tech scale to lower end platforms?
So the next generation, I guess they're current generation consoles now, I guess we could call them, is definitely supported, as well as high-end PC. I don't think we know yet as far as how low it will scale. So I don't have anything to report there, but it will definitely be supporting in its highest fidelity there. And then we're going to have technology to make it so that the assets that were imported for that quality level can be shipped across the full scale of platforms that UE5 supports.
Right. So you build your high-end movie quality content once, and players will see that directly on these high-end devices, and then everywhere else it will be scaled down, but it will still work.
Exactly.
At a lower level of visual quality without the micro polygon geometry.
Moving on, Voxelize asked, Lumen Video shows mostly diffuse bounce light. Is multiple bounces supported for specular as well?
Multiple bounces is supported by Lumen. The specular side of things is currently in rapid development. Multiple bounces will be supported by specular, but that doesn't mean they'll necessarily be full caustic bounces. So if you can see multiple bounces after the first bounce, it might be fairly diffuse for the rest of the bounces, but it won't just be like a complete loss of energy after it hits the first thing, if that makes sense.
Misanthrope asked, will Nanite work with VR?
Yes. There's aspects of VR support. It probably won't be there in the very first version that we released. The early access version that we mentioned will be out at the beginning of next year, but it will be supported eventually by the time that we're ready for the full UE5 release.
And then let's see, I think we had one more. The Autumn asked, when will we see DLSS and ray trace global illumination from emissive materials added to the engine?
DLSS and ray trace global illumination already shipped in Fortnite, I believe. As far as bounces from emissive, I'm not sure the answer to that.
Moving on then a little bit, we had a couple of questions in regards to virtual production as well. Jemerson Art asked, have you looked at the methods being explored by companies like Corridor Digital regarding connecting their camera systems in via LiveLink, and how you deal with those large data streams, non-LED screens, but still fast responsiveness?
I don't have a particular answer for that one in terms of in terms of virtual production. But I do know that we're always working on latency, and we've been tracking that down for a while. And it's always improving in terms of cameras. And so I think overall speeding up our systems are one of the core things that we're always working on, because we like to have quick feedback when we're on stage for everybody that's there.
Received another question here in regards to Lumen and Nanite. Loresh asked, will Lumen and Nanite work at all with forward rendering or MSAA?
Nanite will not be supporting MSAA. Lumen doesn't necessarily have a particular care in that. What was the other part? The forward rendering.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whether that is currently working, but there's no limitation there as far as us making that work if it's not currently working. So yeah, we can support forward rendering with Nanite. I'm not sure the answer for Lumen, but I suspect the answer for Lumen is no for forward rendering, because I expect that Lumen is going to want to do its various bounces in multiple passes in a deferred nature. So I expect it's going to need to have the G-buffer. Won't be providing that. But I'm not the expert on the Lumen system to give a definitive answer there. But I would predict the answer is no on the Lumen side.
Moving back a little bit to the Fortnite Creative announcement, what sort of scripting language did you demonstrate in Fortnite Creative today?
Well, it's a new one, and it's been in development, and the ideas have been brewing within Epic for quite a while. We'll have a lot more to say about it in 2021, but I think you'll find it interesting. There are some ideas there which are fairly new to programming languages, which make development, and particularly game development, easier than it's typically been in dealing with complex interactions between objects. So stay tuned for details later.
And what does this mean for existing Unreal Engine developers?
Well, so when we build something at Epic, we try to make it available to all of our licensees, and we're building a lot of these tools in Fortnite, in Fortnite first, and so the scripting effort is being nurtured within Fortnite, and we expect it will come into the Unreal Engine later on after it's really been proven out there. And similarly, a lot of the tools that we've demonstrated here, such as live editing, where you can edit a level in the editor on PC and see it deploy in real time to all of these other platforms. These technology pieces are some are available to licensees now, and some are coming in the next version of Unreal Engine 4, and will be in part of Unreal Engine 5 from the beginning.
How closely do the new Fortnite Creative tools resemble the vanilla Unreal Editor?
I mean, what you saw was essentially what we're using internally now for our development. So pretty close. What the final version of it looks in terms of skinning or the title or anything, we'll see. But we absolutely want to keep it as close to one-to-one as possible.
And that was the actual material editor, and that was Niagara that we looked at.
Yeah, right. In the same, actually the same editor that we used to build the content that we shipped with, in game.
So on that note, if you are excited about the new Fortnite Creative tools, you can start using them. Some of those tools already in Unreal Engine right now. You can go download 426. It's available in the launcher. See, moving back to some of our virtual production technology, Marco Mello asked, how much can your virtual set technology evolve? I've noticed the current sets are incredibly...
I'm guessing he's talking about the LED walls, and that's an area I'm not familiar with in terms of future technology of that. That'd be, maybe we can answer that in the chat later.
Let's see. Kupinator asked, what is being put in place to prevent the higher graphical fidelity needs of ArchViz and virtual production from impacting the performance of Unreal Engine in mobile and other low-end devices? Is performance on low-end devices still a priority for Unreal Engine?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that we're always looking at that. It's very important because we, in some cases, we do use lower end devices for some of our workflows. And so I think it's always very important for us to keep that in mind. And having been a developer for many years, like one of the things I really like about this engine is it is very, it considers those type of things, and helps with our workflows quite a bit. So I would expect,
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure, to cover the just like extremely wide range of scalability that Unreal has to cover, from going all the way up to needs that people have for just like offline rendering, all the way down to it needs to run fast on a phone. Like that scale is huge. But those are things that we consider with every decision that we make, of how can we encapsulate things, how can we isolate them, such that we can not be constrained to be able to push forward the one end of the spectrum without pulling up the other end of the spectrum too much. There's times at which we need to cut off things at the lower end of very old APIs and old pieces of hardware and things like that. Like there is a march of progress that happens at times, but we certainly can't just like lop off the whole bottom half of our support range just because we want to add some extra little slice at the top. It's something we're always cognizant of.
Going back to Fortnite Creative and some of the new tools that have been shown, we've seen some folk ask in chat, I spent a bunch of time learning the creative tool set. Will I have to relearn everything? And then maybe a follow-up question would be, what's a good way to learn the Unreal Engine workflows?
So the answer to the first question, I think, is absolutely not. Like we mentioned, we view them as complementary. There's real power to being able to sit on a couch and have a controller and create things with your friends and see it live on screen. Like that's some of the power that we're trying to unlock in the editor. But there's a real power to doing that on console. So absolutely not. We view this as things that are complementary. And who knows, maybe you can build things in Fortnite in sort of a tool set and bring in creative, or vice versa. There's lots of things that we'd love to iterate and experiment with.
And as far as learning the engine goes, there's a ton of great resources that our learning team has put out over the last year, actually right down to the last couple of months as 4.26 has dropped. You can go to learn.unrealengine.com and see a variety of videos and examples. On the Learn tab of the engine launcher, you can download a lot of examples from us and dig through those and see how we put things together. And you could technically become kind of like a master of these tools before you ever see this stuff in Fortnite.
And there are plenty of community tutorials and resources as well existing all over the internet. If you're looking for those resources, make sure you visit our forums at forums.unrealengine.com. There's also our unofficial Discord community, unrealslackers.org. I think they reached over 50,000 members recently, where daily there are active discussions in all fields and industries within Unreal Engine. We also recently just held the 2020 Epic Mega Jam, which is mostly talked about around there. Before I start doing my sort of little outro spiel here for our audience here today.
Well, I just wanted to say that, all of this is, while we've talked a lot today about what Epic's done and our very exciting 2020, we always have to give a shout out to what's been created in the community. We have such an incredible community of developers and creators and partners, and they make so much of this possible by pushing us to be better, pushing us to make better tools, and just working on really, really rad projects. And honestly, I feel like we have one of the best communities ever. Like, you all are so great. You're so supportive. It's so absolutely creative, and we're really, really lucky to have you. And I know this is super gushy, but it's the end of the year and we get to be that way, darn it. So I just want to say, like, we couldn't do all this, and we are so privileged and honored to be part of this, journey with you all. And so happy holidays.
I do want to, just to follow up on that, I want to give a quick shout out to the team that helped put together the demo and sort of all of it. It was a lot of work, and it's kind of humbling, and we're super excited and maybe a little healthily scared for the next several years. But yeah. We're excited.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody who's put their trust in Epic. Whether you're a game developer or a Fortnite creator, we've accomplished so much together. It's astonishing, and really grateful for everybody's support. And we're doing a lot of good things and we're fighting some good fights. And I think this is opening up the doors to a whole lot more opportunity in the future, you know, of Fortnite, of game development in general, and of this new medium that seems to be coming together as a result of 3D gaming meeting mass consumer entertainment, which science fiction calls the metaverse. And we don't know exactly what it is, but we're building it together. That's the most awesome part of this whole experiment. So thank you all.
And thank you all, Amanda, Brian, Grayson, Tim, Carlos, and Zach, for coming on today, talking to our community about all the amazing things that happened and what is to come. Now, the Fortnite Creative team did want me to mention that they actually released new Fortnite Creative documentation. So if you go to fn.gg/creative docs, you can find new documentation on how you can utilize Fortnite Creative today. And big thanks to everyone who's watching today, whether it was on Twitch or in Party Royale. We're really happy to have you here. To let you know, we stream every Thursday on Twitch, not for the next 2 weeks, bear in mind, because Epic is going on our winter break. But the first week back on January 7th, we will have Shord coming on talking about our new water tools in Unreal Engine 426. Get excited for that. If you want to get prepared for that, there's already a video on our YouTube channel where Shord is going through some of those, but he's doing a deeper deep dive, and you'll have the opportunity to ask him questions live. And chat, please give it up for all of you and for our guests here today. It's been a pleasure to have you all. Like I said, we will see you again when we are back next year. Not in Party Royale, bear in mind. It's been exciting to be able to be there today. But we'll see what the future brings in terms of that. And with that said, I think it's time for all of us to say goodbye. And I really mean it from the bottom of my heart to say thank you all for being such an awesome community. It's a pleasure to work with you, and I hope to get to see all of your amazing creations in the future, and in the past as well. Please make sure you let us know what you're working on. Forums, Discord, Twitter, just make sure you hit us up. We're always excited. With that said, let's all wave goodbye while the intro plays.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.